So the question, how have Christians in the church done with the topic of human sexuality throughout history? I think just in looking back at society, but also the church is how women have been treated as inferior for so long, and just twisting of scripture, misinterpreting, taking out of context the principle of submission, specifically just how submission is supposed to be a beautiful picture of like how the church submits to Christ and all these things, but it's come to mean like a man can dominate a woman, and that's just not like God's original intent. So I think Christians in the church throughout history have I guess struggled with interpreting human sexuality like from the Bible and what it says. An example of this is how like the Greek Platonic dualism and Gnosticism has snuck its way into like the Roman Catholic doctrine, and how like the Roman Catholic priests have to be celibate when marriage is a part of God's creational order and the normal plan for his children. And that's the reality of it. And so I think a success is just, I feel, for me personally, I feel like marriage and its purpose and how it represents Christ in the church, and just through scripture, but also just through preaching and teaching and growing up, was accurately portrayed to me and taught to me. But I feel like a failure of the church comes from just even talking about human sexuality. I feel like it's kind of like this, like, because sexual immorality is such a bad sin that like people don't want to talk about. I feel like it's kind of quiet and not talked about. And just specifically in regards to those who struggle with their sexual orientation, I think the church struggles like to know whether to affirm or to welcome or to both or neither. And I think we don't affirm like homosexuality, for example, but we welcome anyone who struggles with those things. And for some reason our culture and our church culture too has kind of made someone's sexual orientation their identity, when that's not really your identity. And in scripture, it's not anyone's identity either. Whenever homosexuality and things like that are referred to in scripture, it's homosexual acts. It's not like, oh, that person is homosexual. So I know we're going to talk about homosexuality in the next forum, but I think that is a failure, is knowing, I guess, how to approach it, whether to welcome, affirm, not affirm, not. And there's like two sides. You either affirm and welcome, or you don't welcome and you don't affirm, and it's kind of like so those are my thoughts about how the church has done on this topic.